Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by...
Do you have a hunting invention and don't know where to turn? With over 25 years of experience in the hunting industry, Greg Abbas has helped hundreds of inventors reach their dreams and can help you too. To find out more, visit our website or give us a call today.
Hey everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson and we are out here on the Detroit River hand lining for walleye this morning. We are having a blast out here. You won't want to miss that story. And Jimmy and Jordan also have some fun in store for us this week too.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We do have a couple more stories on this week's show. And if you saw last week's show, you saw part one in a two-part series with John Eberhardt. He's a whitetail author and giving us some good tips on what we can be doing this time of year to get ready for the upcoming deer season. And this past week was also the opener of the turkey season. Just this past Monday, we had some cameras rolling and Jordan Brown had some success. You won't want to miss that story. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's destination since 1988, featuring varieties of homemade sausage, jerky, brats, and gourmet entrees. Holiday gift boxes can be assembled in-store or online. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By Grilla Grills of Holland, Michigan, makers of wood pellet, charcoal grills, and professional pellet smokers. Grilla Grills are designed for ease of use to improve your grilling and smoking skills. More information at grillagrills.com. By AnglerQuest Pontoons, a mid-Michigan company building boats for fishermen by fishermen. AnglerQuest pontoons are designed for comfort and functionality. On the web at anglerquestpontoons.com.
Soaking in the rich tradition of Michigan hunting for over 30 years, Vanguard is proud to sponsor our friends at Michigan Out of Doors TV.
Well, it's April 23rd, just getting ready to pull out of the driveway here on opening day of turkey season. This year's been a little different. I was scouting birds 3 or 4 days ago and we still had snow. Today it's supposed to get up to 70 degrees, so the birds are kind of scattered. Don't have a real good game plan this morning. Heading over to a property I've never hunted before, but it's in a section that I used to hunt all the time as a kid. We killed a ton of birds in this area. I just haven't hunted there in years and I've never hunted this particular piece of property. I'm going to be hunting with a good buddy of mine that I don't get to turkey hunt with very often, so looking forward to getting out in the woods. Hopefully we hear some gobbles early and we can make a move on something. This area, it's a beautiful creek bottom. There's usually tons of birds around, so hopefully there'll be something there to chase. We're going to start there, and then if it doesn't work off the roost, we're going to bounce to a few different locations and see if we can't find something midday. But excited it's turkey season, and excited for some warm weather here, and we'll see if we can't get lucky.
Having never hunted this property before, we somehow got lucky enough to set up near 3 lone toms off of the roost. And about a half hour after they hit the ground, we managed to call one in. And although he was a little hesitant to come all the way into the decoys, he was well within range for the 12 gauge.
Nice shot, buddy. Nice shot. Well, opening morning.
Opening morning.
Jerky down. Definitely not the ideal setup. We worked those birds for a while. But it's 6:45 and we got a bird down, so it's good. This is my buddy Frankie. He's hunting this morning, and I had this bird come in, and I brought the smaller camera, so I didn't have a ton of zoom this morning, but came right over the hill, really put on a show. I'm not sure how great the footage is, but that was a fun hunt. That was pretty cool.
We got here this morning and trying to figure out where to set up, and he gobbled 70 yards away, so I didn't even have a chance to sit up behind a tree. I've been just sitting here, and I'm sure Jordan could feel me just shaking profusely like when this Tom came in, and yeah, this is awesome. Great morning.
Way to get it done early, I guess.
Seriously.
Might have to go kill another one now.
Yeah. You got a tag, don't you?
I do. Let's see what we can do.
Maybe we'll double up.
With the 2 other toms still nearby, we decided to sit tight for a minute and see if we couldn't call them in. And after about 10 minutes of trying, both of them cleared the hill and started heading right towards our spread.
No way. No way. No way did we just do that.
What an awesome opening morning.
Okay, well, update. It's 7:30. Now we're tagged out. We're sitting here talking about Frank's bird, and another bird gobbled. There was a couple of them together this morning. So we hit the call just for fun, and all of a sudden they started getting closer and closer, and then another bird started gobbling. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then there's 2 of them, and they ended up coming right to us and crested the ridge at about 50 yards, and shoot, they decoyed to my dead bird better than they did to the deeks.
I'm shaking. That was an exciting turkey hunt. So they come down, and I'm running the camera. I've got the gun on my lap, thinking, how in the world am I going to do this? Well, then he starts jumping on Frankie's bird, pecking at his head. So when he did that, I slid the gun up, and I probably could have let him go for a minute, but I was pretty excited. He was right there.
Oh, man. All right, I think the first one's yours. The second one.
Whatever one has bigger spurs is mine.
Yeah. Oh. This one's yours, Jordan. That's a nice one. Oh, big old daggers on that. That's what smokes. All right, mine's probably bigger though. Jordan and I have been hunting our whole entire life together, and a lot of the times it's on private property and different landowners. This morning we actually had a landowner down the road give us permission to hunt these birds. We haven't been on these birds, we haven't scouted these birds, and he just kind of told us what they've been doing, and we just went off from what he said, and I think he had it down to a T. These birds came out right where he said that they were going to come out, and he gave us this awesome opportunity and a great experience and a great hunt this morning. Just want to do a special thanks to Nate Doty. He gave us this opportunity, and what a beautiful piece of property. I mean, beautiful landscape. You got the blue jays chirping in the background. Just a beautiful morning.
A beautiful morning indeed, with a couple of great birds and a hunt that I'm sure neither one of us will soon forget. I've had the good fortune of hunting with people all over the state of Michigan, but hunting with old friends in the area where my passion for hunting really began, That's pretty hard to beat. Good luck to all of the turkey hunters hitting the woods over the next few weeks.
Well, we're getting ready to splash the boat on the Detroit River and do some hand lining. Everybody else is jigging today, but a little bit muddy water conditions, I think we're going to do better hand lining. So Jenny's never done it before, so we're trying to decide which one to do and pull wire. The major components of hand lining are you got the reel, you've got the weight, and then you've got a shank in between. And that shank allows you to put a leader on and have lures back behind it. So we're going to run 2 lures per side. Weight is going to bump the bottom like this, and as it bumps the bottom, the lures are going to be trailing behind it, and we're going to be weaving back and forth across this current. This is just an extremely effective way to fish off-colored water, muddy or really stained water. This is just highly effective way to fish, so should be fun.
Although the river was clearing from the recent rains, we decided to have some fun hand lining. With a couple of Riviera reels, some weights, and boxes of floating Rapalas and Junior Thundersticks, we were fishing. While the kicker motor moves us upstream very slowly, the motor guide helps steer a zigzag pattern, working the run and presenting the baits to the walleye holding over the spawning gravel.
So I could just feel the fish. There we go. I was kind of hooked under the chin, so I'm going to throw it back. I'm sure he had the other hook in him. I'm sure he probably had both hooks in him at one point, but that's how easy it is. We got a spring-loaded reel up front, and it just takes in the line as you use it. So as you want more line, you just let more line out, and the weight pulls it out. And then when you want to go back up, you pull up, and it takes up line for you. So it's just a way of keeping you your line maintained while you're fishing. You could probably just have it sitting on the floor if you wanted, but it'd be a big mess. So they developed, way back in the day, they developed a Victrola box, and they would take that and they would wind wire on it, put the box up in the front of their boat, and they would just use it that way, and it was all spring-loaded, and then they started developing these reels. So it's kind of a neat history, and it's so effective in muddy water that some tournaments have outlawed it over the years. So it's kind of neat.
Why is it so much more effective?
It's so effective because with jigging, you're bouncing down the river and your jig goes past the fish so quickly. In this current, 2, 3, 4 miles an hour current, it's just flying by that fish. When I'm hand lining, I'm sliding back and forth and I'm moving upstream, so that fish might see that lure or feel the lure in the mud, and as it comes by him, it takes 3, 4, 5 seconds to get by him. It sits in front of them for a lot longer, so it gives them an opportunity to hit it. So that's why it's so effective in muddy water, and you've got a plug that's wiggling down there, and the fish can feel it with their lateral line real well. You got one?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to do what Gabe taught me. Look at that. Not the biggest fish in the world, but I'll take it. There we go.
Hey!
First hand lining walleye. Woohoo! That's fun. Yeah, he makes it.
Very cool.
Jason's got another one on. He's schooling us today.
Nice.
Right back there. Got him on the short one.
It's kind of fun hand to hand, isn't it?
It is. Old fat. That's a better one.
You're like an old pro at this. A couple of nice ones there.
Yeah, look at that.
Beautiful.
Woo.
Oh yeah, twins.
Sweet.
Nice
That's
work.
awesome. It's fun. Very good. Jason, you might be done. I think it's time to hand Gabe hand Jason the camera. He may have caught his limit. How many do you have?
It must be the touch because it's any color. So. I only got 2 fish. I'm not done fishing yet.
We have proof.
All right, beauty.
There we go. He's just got his mouth open.
I keep them on top. Stay up there, stay up there. Woo-hoo. Not a very big one. Oh yeah. Nice one. Jenny's really getting the hang of this. Good job, nice fish.
That fish. Nice.
Either a nice fish or it's hopefully weird.
Beautiful.
Nice fish. Oh yeah. Not bad. Whoa! Not a bad fish.
Very nice.
Cool. We are having a heck of a day on the Detroit River this morning. We probably could catch fish jigging and whatever technique you wanted to fish, but I just like hand lining. It's so much fun.
Oh, this one's on the lower, I think. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. This has been a fun morning. I say morning because it's still morning. And I think this might be our last fish of the day. We're done out here, but what a great time. If you've never tried hand lining, come down here to the Detroit River, get away from the crowd a little bit and give it a whirl. It's a lot of fun. Maybe Gabe will come teach you.
Okay, John, so we're at a different location now, and we hear the word, or I've heard the word funnel, pinch point. This is kind of what this is. So walk us through why you picked this spot and what is a funnel when you're talking deer movement?
A funnel is like, I guess the easiest way to put a funnel into perspective is it's like an hourglass. And basically you got a big stand of timber and a big stand of timber, and it pinches down to that tightest point like in the middle of an hourglass. So obviously that's where traffic is going to be more consolidated and more condensed. So it's going to be more of a transition zone where you're going to get a lot of deer funneling through that transition zone, getting from point A to point B.
And so now this tree here that you've got, now why'd you pick that specific tree in this funnel here?
And when I prepped it, it was alive, and it's dead now, but it's still got a few years left on it. I pulled all the bark off it. But this specific tree is the only tree I could get up high enough in, and it was the only tree centered well enough where I could shoot to either side of the pinch point of this funnel. So I can shoot to the opposite side of that, to the edge of that field, or I can shoot to the edge of this field. It's 35 yards here, it's 30 yards over there. And this is a pre-rut and rut phase location only. So basically this is, and it's a great midday spot because during pre-rut, a lot of times mature bucks will search for estrus does during the middle of the day. They'll get up out of a bedding area from this timber and move over to this timber searching for early estrus does. And this is a good spot to be because I don't have to worry. I can come in here and get in this tree at 10 o'clock, and it's a spot I can hunt through the middle of the day so I can catch up on some sleep deprivation if I'm off for a week.
Now, when you're, so on a funnel like this, would you typically pick a spot where you could shoot to each edge, or so would you pick a spot in that funnel where that's doable? Would you recommend that for guys?
Yeah, you always want to get in the funnel where you have the most shot opportunities to the most transition routes, the most runways. Because usually funnels are pinch points of transition routes where deer are going from point A to point B. So obviously you want to cover as much of it as you can, and this one just happens to be tight enough where I can cover everything to both edges.
Now, so this is perfect for kind of this mid-Michigan area. Let's say you're hunting the UP, Northern Michigan, big tract estate land where you don't have the field edges and stuff. You can still find funnels in that, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And what you look for there, though, is you look for funnels of security cover. Because a lot of times there may be a big stand of timber and it doesn't have any understudy, so it doesn't have any understudy security cover. And then there might be some brushy areas, and the mature bucks, they're not going to want to be in that vulnerable open area transitioning through that timber with no understudy. They want to be next to or within some sort of security cover. So they're going to transition through the security cover or along the edge of it. So you always can find areas where there's more security cover, and that's where the bucks are going to transition from point A to point B. You always want to look for areas with security cover, because they don't want to be in vulnerable areas, open areas where they don't have quick two-step exit security cover available.
Okay, John, so here we are. This is a really beautiful spot, but kind of walk me through. This is where a lot of different kind of terrains come together. It's a beautiful spot. Why is this something you want to look for when hunting deer?
You hit the nail right on the head. This is what I call a terrain featured dump. You got cattail marsh bedding area over here. This here has really opened up since these pines fell. So there's a lot of briars here, which is acting as a bedding area now. You've got this river that's going straight north, so deer tend to follow the edge of this river and they come up through here. So this is a place where just a lot of different terrain features kind of dump right in this one spot. So there's a lot of doe activity here. There's also some white oaks. These are white oaks right here. So there's also a little bit of food, and there's always been scrapes here. There's a scrape there. There's a scrape right there. So this is just a spot that hit me immediately the first time I was ever here. And the first year I hunted here, I killed a buck out of this oak right here behind us.
And this is probably transfers from southern Michigan to tip of the UP, because you're going to have, wherever you're at, you're going to have some of these kind of edges that come together, and that's always a good spot?
Yeah, there's always terrain feature dumps on just about any property of any size at all. There's going to be some form of terrain features it might be an oak ridge coming down into a marshy area, or something like that. That's what you see a lot up in the UP, is in hilly country. Or you might see a ridge dump down into a saddle, and the saddle goes up into some marshy area or some bedding area.
And how big of a deal, this river that comes through here now, lots of different places around the state, we have rivers all over the place. How important are they, and do we not factor in rivers enough when we're talking deer movement?
Rivers are huge. Deer tend to follow edges of rivers, because typically on rivers there's always some semblance of security cover along their edges, because it's damp ground and it grows weeds and brush. So it's just natural transition zones along rivers. And another thing about rivers that a lot of hunters never even think about, rivers have funnels. Rivers have areas that widen out and are shallower than the other parts of the river, and this is one of those spots. It's real wide right here, and deer cross there where they can walk across it because it's shallow. Now you get up on these bends, and once you get past that, the river gets deeper, it gets narrower, so it's deeper, and then they have to actually swim across it. And deer always want the path of least resistance. So as long as there's good security cover, they're always going to cross in the shallowest area because it's the least amount of work.
Okay. So do you have a favorite when it comes to, or maybe the deer that you've killed over the years, pinch points versus terrain coming together like this, river bends? What's your go-to if you had to pick?
My go-to has always been primary scrape areas. And I consider this a primary scrape area because you got a scrape here, you got a scrape here. It's just scrape areas are always where there's a lot of doe traffic. That's always where primary scrape areas are located, where there's lots of doe traffic. So this is one right here because there's so much stuff coming together. Another great spot is this apple tree we're going to go to next. It's always a primary scrape area, even the year it doesn't have apples, just because of its location. So scrape areas, and then mast and fruit trees, apple trees, white oaks. And I always prefer white oaks over reds because white oak acorns have a lot less tannins than reds. For those interested in identifying the difference between a red oak and a white oak, a white oak tree has rough bark all the way up the base and out the branches, and a white oak also has rounded lobes. See how these lobes on here are rounded? Has rounded lobes on the leaves. And also white oak acorns are very small. They're about the size of a dime. Red oaks have pointed lobes on the leaves, and they have smooth bark going up the tree and out the branches. And red oak acorns are about the size of a quarter. They're bigger.
Well, special thanks to John Eberhardt for a lot of good tips on what we can be doing this time of the year to get ready for the upcoming deer season. If you'd like some more information on John and his workshops and his books and all that kind of stuff, you can just Google John Eberhardt and all of his information will come up. Now make sure that you are joining us over the next few weeks. We've got a lot of good turkey hunting action that's going to be coming at you. The trout openers this weekend, we're going to have a camera on the PM River for that. And I recently spent some time with a couple of high schools that are kind of doing their part to get more people into the outdoors. You won't want to miss those stories. And if you do miss part of Michigan Outdoors this week or or last week or you're traveling, you can always check us out at MichiganOutofdoorsTV.com. We have full episodes of the show there. And if you do the social media thing, we're on all of those platforms as well. And if you ever get on YouTube, you can subscribe to Michigan Out of Doors right on YouTube. That way, every time we post our show, you'll get an email sent directly to you. It's a good way to keep tabs on what we're up to. Hey, if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or visit greenstonefcs.com. Michigan's hunters and anglers are essential partners to the health of the state's wildlife and habitats. The Michigan Wildlife Council is dedicated to ensuring our hunting and fishing heritage and Michigan's natural resources are preserved for future generations. By Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises of Munising, exploring Lake Superior's Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. With its sandstone cliffs, caves, waterfalls, and lighthouses, Pictured Rocks Boat Cruise is on the web at picturedrocks.com. Closed captioning provided by Marvo Mineral, makers of Lucky Buck, deer management products including minerals to supplement deer diets year-round to improve health and antler growth.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The whitetail deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love this land. I am a Michigan man. From the Keweenaw down to St. Joe, Kalamazoo, East to Monroe, to St. Marie and back again. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan